What if the hero of our story isn't actually the good guy? Welcome to the series. Today we bring you a story about a revenant knight, but be warned, all is not as it seems. This is the Shadow of Vaethor. The winds screamed across the jagged cliffs of the abyssal wastes, carrying with them the scent of sulfur and death. Beneath a sky split by eternal storms, the land itself seemed to writhe like a living thing, black rocks shifting as if in pain. It was here, in this cursed place, that the prophecy of old whispered of a warrior who would bind himself to a demon and march against the living. That warrior now stood at the edge of the precipice. He was no longer truly a man. Flesh had withered from his bones centuries ago, yet he did not fall to dust. His skeletal frame gleamed with armor etched in runes of agony and power, a cloak of pale cloth clinging to him, though there was no wind strong enough to lift it. Where his eyes once had been, hollow sockets burned faintly with a spectral glow. In his gaunted hands, he carried a blade forged not of mortal steel, but of shadow condensed into form, a weapon cursed to drink the souls of those it struck. His name, once shouted by kings and sung by bards, had been forgotten to history. Now he was known only as the Revenant of Vaethor. Behind him, the air trembled. A vast shape shifted in the gloom, scales like jagged obsidian grinding against one another. Two horns twisted upward like blackened spires, and eyes of molten fire glared down upon the Revenant. The creature unfurled its wings, blotting out what little light filtered through the storm, and lowered its head until its maw hovered just above its servant. The demon's voice rolled like thunder. "You have called me forth, Revenant. You have bound yourself to my essence. Speak, and I shall listen." The skeletal warrior raised his head. His voice was not a man's voice anymore, but a hollow echo that scraped the silence like steel across stone. "The kingdoms of men thrive in their arrogance. They cast me aside, curse me to wander as deathless ash. I will see their cities burn, their thrones crumble. Grant me your strength, demon, and I shall deliver their souls to your fire." The demon grinned, its fangs glistening. "So it shall be, mortal husk. You are mine now. Together we will unmake the world. Now, where most stories like this begin, ours actually starts a few hundred years prior. Once, long ago, before he became the Revenant, he had been a knight named Callan of Vaethor, loyal, valiant, and celebrated. He fought for his king, defended his people, and bled for honor, yet all his devotion ended in betrayal. When the wars against the northern invaders had finally ended, Callan returned home not as a hero, but as a scapegoat. The king, fearful of Callan's rising renown, branded him a traitor. Accused of conspiring with the enemy, Callan was stripped of title and flesh alike. Sorcerers tore his soul from his body and cursed him to wander the wastes until time itself ended. For centuries he walked, a hollow shell of rage. But in the dark fissures beneath the world, he found something waiting, the demon Zirithys, chained by forgotten gods at the dawn of creation. It whispered promises of vengeance, of shattered crowns, of blood repaid tenfold. All Callan had to do was break the chains, and he did. The villages were the first to fall. When the Revenant came, shadows poured from the cracks in the earth, devouring homes and fields alike. His sword cut down warriors as if they were reeds before a storm, their souls ripped screaming into the void. Behind him, Zirithys spread his wings, each beat sending fire coursing through the skies. Word spread swiftly. The Revenant Knight was no longer a tale to frighten children. He was real, and he was coming. Armies gathered to stand against him, banners bright against the storm, but it was like standing against the tide. None who faced him lived to tell of it. Their screams lingered only in the howling winds. Yet vengeance carried its own cost. Though the Revenant wielded the power of Zirithys, the demon demanded more with each victory. With every city sacked, every army slain, the demon grew stronger and Callan weaker. His will, once uncheckable, began to splinter under the crushing weight of the bond. One night, as they stood amidst the burning ruins of a capital, Kellen spoke. "You promised me vengeance, demon. You promised me freedom from my curse. Yet I feel my essence slipping. You are consuming me." Xerxes coiled around him, laughter echoing like mountains breaking. "Did you think power comes without chains? You are mine, Revenant. Every soul you feed me is another thread binding you tighter. Soon there will be nothing left of Kellen of Aether. Only my will shall remain." For the first time in centuries, Kellen felt something stir within his hollow chest sphere. Then far off, a horn blared, calling across the wastelands. More horns answered, gathering like a storm on the horizon. On the plains of Valerian, the last alliance of men, elves, and sorcerers gathered. They carried no illusions of victory, only the hope of buying enough time for the prophecy to be fulfilled. The Revenant came at the head of his legion, Xerxes blotting out the sun behind him. Steel clashed with shadow. Fire rained from the heavens. The battlefield was drowned in screams and blood. But through the chaos, the priests advanced, chanting words of power older than time, binding their souls to a single purpose, to sever the bond. Kellen felt it, then pulling at his essence, a ripping deep within his core. He staggered, his blade slipping from skeletal fingers as light pierced the shadows around him. Xerxes roared in fury, claws rending through hundreds, but the spell would not break. For the first time, Kellen saw a choice. He could resist the ritual, remain bound to Xerxes, and slaughter the world until nothing remained. Or he could surrender. He could let go of vengeance and become the key to the demon's prison once more. The hollow sockets of his skull turned toward the burning armies of men, the faces of those who fought not for power but for survival. And though no heart beat in his chest, Kellen remembered what it had once felt like to be human. He let go. The sky split with a scream that shook the mountains. Xerxes was dragged back into the abyss, claws tearing at the earth as light swallowed him. The Revenant's body crumbled into dust, his armor shattering, his sword dissolving into nothingness. Only silence remained, broken by the weeping of the survivors. In the centuries to come, the tale of the Revenant of Aether would be told not only as a warning of vengeance, but as a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, a spark of choice remains. The demon was gone, the kingdom scarred, but the world endured. And far beneath the earth, chained once more, Xerxes whispered to the void, "The cycle will begin again." Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, leave us a like. If you want to see more stories like these, stay tuned. Until next time, remember, you are awesome.